All right. Hello, everybody, and welcome to our Company of Heroes 3 playtest review. There are a lot of issues to discuss. There are some positives to discuss as well. And we're going to dive right in and kind of talk about what some of those issues are. All right. So starting out, we're going to talk about the major issues that I found with the playtest, and the number one issue I have is the AI cheats. Now, what do I mean by the AI cheats? The AI is not actually having to control the nodes as far as I can tell. One thing we notice is one of the UI bugs. It actually even says, cheat inputs prioritized. Now that could be something completely different, but just judging from the AI behavior, I have to conclude that it is cheating. How did I come to this conclusion? As we were playing, a lot of the times we would notice that the AI would suddenly start pushing out vehicle after vehicle after vehicle. That to me says that they are not dependent on the fuel nodes. Now, this isn't a problem in general if the timing is well done on it, but what is currently happening, at least in our games, and we did put in several hours of matches, is that you end up having tanks coming at you, half tracks, light vehicles, before you're able to push out anything to counter those. This would lead to us basically doing an initial charge, kind of holding our own, taking some losses, taking some wins, starting to control the map, and then the AI would get their first wave of vehicles. And there would be nothing we could do to answer this because we couldn't gather resources quick enough to be able to build the counters or build our own vehicles. What this does is it sort of makes the difficulty choices of the AI irrelevant, right? Because it's not that the AI is reacting better, faster than you, planning build orders better than you. It's that they are getting vehicles that you are not going to be able to counter at first, unless you can hold out to the point where you can build those units, but with the much slower resource gather rate than the AI, which they don't even gather any resources. The second issue we had, this is more cosmetic now. The camera is zoomed in super close, and you can zoom in even closer, which is great for looking at the cool models, but it's not great for gameplay. We have a fog of war system, so I'm not understanding the devs' choice to keep us so zoomed into the field, because I feel like I can't have a very good overview of the map. I'd kind of like to be doing something in the back lines, like if I need to reinforce some units, rearm, but I'd also still like to keep an eye on what's happening in the front. Instead, what's happening is it turns the game into this very hectic, like zooming around with the map every which way, and not being able to enjoy the fairly decent artwork that they've done. Like these battles are cool to watch, and it's necessary to watch at times too, because if a enemy infantry squad throws grenades, you need to be able to tell your squad to pull back so they don't just sit there and take the grenade hit. And it just becomes a lot more difficult when you're just so close to the screen. So I'd really like to see them add the ability to zoom out quite a bit further, to be honest. The other issue we had, this is probably a little bit more minor, but the overly complicated build system. The US is a very good example. If I remember right, you select your headquarters, you choose your support building. In the support building, you then choose upgrades, which then deal with your airplanes. And it very well could be that this is just, growing pains, as this is a new game. We're learning this build orders, all of that. Where is what tech tree, what unit is in what building? I just find it a little complicated. Some of the guys we were playing with who are a little bit more new found it quite overwhelming at first. But I think this is something that might just be alleviated with time spent with the game. The major issue for me is still AI cheating, and then I love for the camera to zoom out a little bit further. All right, next we're going to talk about some of the minor issues that we had. If the first one for me there is the graphics. They are nice. They're pretty good graphics. Like I don't want to say that this is an ugly game. You're like, oh, what are they doing? For me, it is more the style. When I look back at Company of Heroes 1, Company of Heroes 1 always seemed to be a bit more gritty, like more realistic. If you know, by today's standards, obviously, if you go look at Company of Hero 1 screenshots, you're not gonna be like, oh wow, this is so lifelike now. It has its age, but it feels more grounded. This always, ever since Company of Heroes 2, I've gotten this sense of like almost cartoonish. And I don't know if that's the color palette, if they've just smoothed a lot of things over. I feel like some of the tanks maybe just, they don't have as many edges to them. It's very weird. I have a really hard time putting it into words, other than that it just feels more cartoonish to me. This is not to take away from, like, some of the effects are amazing. I love seeing the battle damage on your tanks now. That stuff is so good, so cool to see. You know, your veteran tanks, they feel veteran. You can see the impacts they've survived. If they've had fire on them, it's that stuff is really cool. I would just like to see them pull back a little bit from this kind of cartoonish feel they've got going on. The second minor issue I have, and this is also kind of cosmetic, is I would like to see more German lines. Your German soldiers spend most of their time speaking English, and they've got the usual, like, more like I don't know, like I almost wanted to call it like goblin voice, like just this unnecessary, like needed tone of like, oh, these are the bad guys. Like just do some German voice lines, because like the voice lines they have written are funny. There are some really good voice lines. One of my favorites was like, Klaus, this end is the end that goes boom. I think on the mortar team, there's just really funny stuff there. I would just like to see a little bit more German in there for the German units. The Italians, have them say some lines in Italian. It would just add a little bit more to the immersion, and that's something I'd really like to see them add. We did also notice a few bugs. I'm sure some of them have been noted. One, and I noticed that was the most annoying to me, was the camera hitches a little. If you're zooming around sometimes, it might even just be the game in general. We would notice just these like half-second little freezes. So you'd have this jitter sometimes, and if it hit right as you did a command, it would feel like the camera didn't register what you said or what you input. Another input issue we noticed was at times you'll have your bunker be outlined yellow, like, oh, it can build here, no problem. You click and it wouldn't go. It doesn't register, as if it's in a place that it shouldn't be built. And it's usually in a spot where it feels kind of sketchy, like, I'm pretty close to this building, I'm surprised it's letting me. But then the game actually doesn't let you. So the UI is giving you wrong information about when it's okay to build and when it is not okay to build. And that's something they really should fix, because that adds a lot of frustration as you're playing. Other than that, we noticed some pretty big issues with the AI. I'll insert some screenshots here. The first one we had was the AI started building a grid of barbed wire in our back line. We then had another session where the AI just went all in on repair vehicles, and that is literally all they built. So anytime there was a broken vehicle, you just see this army of vehicles moving towards the broken Panzer, trying to repair it, even though they were popcats, so they couldn't even do it. So that I would like to see fixed. And this also highlights sort of another issue. We need player colors. Maybe I didn't find it. I tried to look around for this, but having your teammates all be the same color added a lot to the confusion on the field, because at first I thought it was one of our guys doing this with all the repair vehicles, and they thought it was me. until we figured out like, no, that one's the AI, because we just couldn't tell each other apart because they were all yellow, right? So that's something that I would very much like to see them change as well. One other pretty frustrating bug that we ran into is there were some matches where it would say I was Wehrmacht. It would show the Wehrmacht battle groups. For me, what my buddies would see was that I was actually Afrika Korps, but I had the Wehrmacht battle groups. And by the time I got into the game, I would suddenly be Afrika Korps. So suddenly you're playing a completely different faction than what you wanted to play. So that's something too that hopefully gets fixed by launch. But now we'll go talk about some of the positives. All right, the positives. This game is fun. There is good parts. I know I just went through a lot of complaints and issues that I would like to see fixed, but honestly, it's because I want this game to be great. And there is a solid game in here. We've been playing a lot. We've been having fun. You know, I keep ending the day wanting to go back for more, play some more matches, you know, go against the harder AI, keep pushing it and getting better at the game. So that is there. For instance, the Afrika Korps. This is an awesome new faction. I love the mobility. They're very much a good offset to the way the Wehrmacht plays, where it is sort of this like slow bunker up and then become this unstoppable war machine that plows through the field. So they're awesome. I love that there's the Italians are sort of intermixed in there. Getting to see something other than just Germans on the Axis side is really neat and fun. They've got some really cool units to play with. And just in general, like Afrika Korps is so fun, like this intermixing of being really mobile, but having your infantry support your vehicles. It's great. It's really fun gameplay. We've been having a lot of fun with Afrika Korps. The other addition I really like is this verticality element they've been adding. You know, like finding these high points in the map now gives you a damage boost when you're higher up, and it adds some really cool strategy to the maps. Finding these little nooks of the map that are really important to hold, because they're these great points to kind of set out from and take some of the nodes around that area. It makes it really, really interesting and gives you these real battle centers that you're just slugging over to just gain control of the map to increase your presence. So that's really awesome. The other thing, I kind of mentioned this before, the voice lines are awesome. There are these really funny one-liners that they will pop off in the middle of the field, and it gives you a nice quick chuckle in the middle of all of this, just explosions and bullets flying everywhere. We were definitely quoting some of them during the fights. So I hope to see more as we keep playing, and as they hopefully add some more factions and stuff like that. But yeah, so overall, I mean, we had fun. I don't want to make this sound like that the game is, you know, don't buy it under no circumstances, it's all terrible. It has its issues, some of them pretty major in my opinion, but it's also a really fun game. And as these tweaks sort of come in, I think we're gonna have something really fun to play here. Something I want to play more with my buddies. Maybe even do some versus matches. Right now, we've just been kind of slamming our heads against the AI wall. But it's good. It's fun. That's all I can really say about it. You know, like these battles, they do look super cool as you're taking your buildings, trying to shore up the streets, maintain your battle lines while figuring out where their weaknesses are and pushing in. It's just a lot of fun. I think our last match lasted over an hour as we were just kind of slugging it out, holding these last lines we built as the AI was almost pushing us back, and we finally managed to kind of tip the scale in our favor, and we're able to push into their base and finally take them out. It's awesome. The stats are really cool. There are some hinky things going on with the stats. Devs, you might want to look into that. There were definitely some efficiency points given that didn't quite make sense to us. But yeah, overall, I'm very much looking forward to the release. I'm hoping that the devs, you take the time to make the fixes that are needed. But I think we'll have a really fun game on our hands, and I hope to see some of you in the field there. So until then, I will see you guys later. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button on here. If you want to watch live, we're on twitch.tv/Botus624. And you can join our Discord, play some of the games with us. We're always happy to grow the community and have some good times together, play some games. Versus or against AI, doesn't matter. We're always here for a good time. You guys have a good night or day, who knows, whenever you're watching this. And yeah, we'll see you guys next time. Bye, guys.